Music review. This is the album Television by Baaba Maal, released in 2009. Maal took some time out after his last effort, and this is a project that's taken 5 years to come about. I'm going to go through it track by track, just to say that on this album, a notable involvement from one Barry Reynolds on guitar. He's a British musician who's been around since the beginning of the 70s. Had a short spell with Bloodwind Pig, and also did a lot of work with Marianne Faithfull, and has worked on other projects with Baaba Maal, and also the Brazilian Girls. Now, this is a band out of New York City. None of the members of that band are Brazilian, but the lead singer, female, is Sabina Ciuba, and she is involved on this album Television. And so the album was also brought about particularly through Maal's acknowledgement of the impact of the band The Roots on him, and his desire to consolidate on the use of the drums and bass through technology to add to the African sound in terms of capturing the sound for this album. And technology, of course, plays a pretty big part. So that reflects the album's title. So let's go to the tracks. The title track opens things up, and when I first heard this, I thought it was almost Peter Gabriel singing in French. And most of the tracks are sang in French, of course, because Baaba Maal, that language is prominent in Senegal, although he does also sing his tribal language and a splatter of English. But back to the title track, it immediately gets you in that trance-like mood. The lead vocals are shared through narration as well by Baaba. It's a real laid-back groove, and certainly the Brazilian Girls singer is significant on it. It's also rather hypnotic, I've found. I just loved closing my eyes to it. To track 2 then, Tindo. Much faster, more spacey rhythmic, and the guitar style has a touch of reggae in it. It isn't reggae, though. It sounds a little bit like maybe some of the early Police work. The Police, that is, with Sting. But there's a soaring vocal back in the mix as well, and Baaba's vocals, of course, integral part of all of his music. And it switches quickly into track 3, Miracle, and the female harmonies are particularly prevalent on this track, in French, of course, and it sort of resembles what one might perceive as Senegalese reggae. The song is a bit of a warning, really, of global warming, and how perhaps the human race is going to need a miracle. Remember, at the time of this release, 2009, we had seen the arrival of Barack Obama, and maybe there was a nod to that. On to track 4 then, Cantaloupe. Very slow, very addictive rhythm. I imagine a sort of beach, Senegalese beach, and relaxing on it. There's some whistles, lots of percussion, and a very delicate guitar by Reynolds. It's experimental pop for sure, but it has a Parisian feel for me. And Kavi steps in and plays the kora on this. He's a very famous kora player on the African continent. Track 5, A Song for Woman, Has a very tribal feel to it. Haunting drums drive the rhythm, and there's the drum loop, which has a throbbing harmony to it. Lyrically, I think it's recalling the importance of women traditionally in African society as being the harmonising force within the family, but it also gives a nod to more empowerment for women. To track 6 then, International, this starts with a listing of world capitals, and then a club-like dance shuffle appears, and it builds up to quite a pace, and it's very, I think, symptomatic of the Senegalese hero and fellow musician Youssou N'Dour. It's lyrically suggesting that Africa needs to be included on the world stage, and has a lot to say internationally. Track 7, Dakar Mood, possibly the best track on the album. It has a very sultry feel about it. It's an acoustic driven song. You can imagine Baaba Maal with his compatriot Reynolds playing their guitar out in the sort of villages and looking up at the moon over the capital. The guitar style's very flamenco in nature, and it's a beautiful song, partly sang in English, and it's a highlight, I think, on this set. Its laid back harmony is creates a feast of warmth. So to the last song then, Tinan Quando, is almost even more stripped back than track 7. The acoustic guitar with a slight hint of a lullaby, with some hypnotic keyboards whispering back in the mix. Siuba adds her vocal touches here in Italian to complement Maal's funny tribal vocal. It's soft, melodic, and a fitting closure to an album that grows on you the more you listen to it. I've always been a fan of his, and always found that the African traditional percussion style music has been a highlight for me, but this is much more developed, much more modernised, but it still retains that African Senegalese quality. So I'd really recommend this album. It's called Television. It's by Baaba Maal, and it was released in 2009.